Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Louisiana. This is Dominic coming at you once again with NakedToke.com, a supporter of the legalization of marijuana in this beautiful state of Louisiana. I'm here to talk to you about a $100 million amendment to the law. As you know, that they changed the possession law. If you're caught with 14 grams or less, you can go ahead and do 15 days in jail and get a $300 fine. I think we need to tweak that into a $100 million amendment. Here's how I'm talking about doing it. The new Louisiana law, of course, it carves out a new penalty section for possession of less than 14 grams of marijuana, making it punishable by a maximum sentence of 15 days in jail and a $300 fine. Now, it's a maximum of 15 days. Doesn't mean you're going to get 15 days. You might get 2, you might get 3. But they have a maximum sentence of 15 days. They can't give you no more for the first offense. And it doesn't change the penalties for the first offense possession of marijuana involving amounts between 14 grams and 2.5 pounds. If you're running around with 2.5 pounds of marijuana in your car, then you are stupid, okay? Keeping the penalty for the misdemeanor charge at 6 months and in jail for $500 fine for the first offense. Now, the second offenses are misdemeanor punishable up to a $1,000 fine and 6 months in jail. Third offense of felonies punishable up to $2,500 and 2 years in prison. Okay, so now let's just stop there. We don't need to go any further because what we're talking about is a $100 million amendment to the first section. It carves out a penalty for 14 grams or less, for 15 days in jail, and a $300 fine. Well, let me just say this. That's the part we need to tweak. We can amend that part. And it ain't going to really have a domino effect for nothing else, but bring in $100 million. They say that alone is going to save $17 million in 5 years. $17 million. That is a drop in the bucket. $17 million in 5 years is probably only going to be worth $13 million. Here's the $100 million amendment. As the law stands right now, as I keep saying, I said if you get caught with 14 grams or less of marijuana, it's punishable up to 15 days in jail and a $300 fine. Basically a misdemeanor, right? So it's not that serious, but yet it's serious. You still got to go to jail. You still might have to do a $300 fine. But now the amendment to this law would be the same thing. It carves out penalties in this section. If you get caught with 14 grams of marijuana, that's punishable up to 15 days in jail and a $300 fine. Now here's the amendment for anyone not in possession of a valid tax permit card. All right? Now, the second phase is that possession of a tax permit card does not change the penalties for the first offense of possession of marijuana if you're over 14 grams to 2.5 pounds. Now, that's just common sense. You just can't be running around with pounds of marijuana. Now, if they have the tax permit card and they're issuing a tax permit card for $200 and you run around and you don't give a shit and you're going to go ahead and carry your weed anyway, well, if you get caught, well, then you're stupid because it's going to cost you a $300 fine where you could have got the card for $200. Now, that tax permit card is the amendment. Issuing the tax permit card. We're talking about revenue now. We're not talking about, like they say, well, that law that they've changed and the way they have it now will save $17 million. Come on. And here's the tax permit cards. They come in 4 different varieties. The first one is P. That means you can possess, okay? That's your tax permit card. You're over 21 years old. You went down, you paid your $200. You got your tax permit card. Maybe you're running around town. You got a little 14 grams in your pocket. Well, guess what? They find it. You show them your tax permit card. You're good to go. The next one is the medical tax permit card. If you're under the age of 18 or 21 years old and you got a medical condition and the doctor prescribes marijuana for the use of your medical condition, well, guess what? You can possess the tax permit card, and not only that, but it's going to give you a discount rate because you only have to pay $100 for your card because for medical reasons. Even people that need this card for medical reasons and really can't afford a $200, hey, we discount it to you for $100. That tax permit cards alone, we're talking about revenue. And I got a feeling that a lot of people to the state of Louisiana, if we have 5 million people, like I've been saying, and 10% go down, that's 500,000 people. I guarantee you that's $100 million, and I think 10% is low. I got a feeling we're looking at 30%. And once again, that revenue needs to be watched. And I'm not talking about 5 years from now that money's going to be flowing in. I'm not talking about 2 years from now. I'm talking about within a year, 7 months. They'll be flooded. The only problem they're going to have is how fast they can issue these cards, how fast they can take in the revenue. That'll help support this state. Now we have two other tax permit cards. If you're a non-resident, you keep coming through in the state, you come and you visit for long periods of time, for $300, you can get a non-resident tax permit card. That's right. While you're in the state of Louisiana, you could possess 14 grams or less of marijuana. You paid $300 for your tax permit card as a non-resident. If you're coming to visit, you might be coming to visit for 30 days. You might be coming to visit for 4 days. Switzerland, France, Germany, London, wherever you're coming from, you can go online and file for a temporary tax permit card for $200 for 6 months. Now, I'm not even bringing that revenue number into the $100 million amendment. That allows all these states that are surrounding us to come and visit Louisiana. Tourism will go up. We're talking about local revenue, businesses making more money because the oil fields not doing it no more. All these people that have little businesses that counted on the oil industry to make revenue, to keep their business rolling, it's going down. It's decreasing. You see it at the pumps every day. And like I told you, I would pay 20 more cents at the pump, 25 more cents at the pump. It would put food on those people's tables and go ahead and give those people jobs so they can feed their family, but it's not happening. We're not doing it. So that's what we're talking about, the tax permit card. As much as I talk and as much as I try to preach, I always feel that my voice falls on deaf ears, that no one can gather anymore in the masses as we once did for a cause that we know is right. This is the answer. This is the $100 million amendment to the new possession of marijuana law. These 4 cards can generate more revenue than we can possibly imagine. If you care about the quality of education in this state of Louisiana, its roads, its highways, its parks, its recreational areas, if you care about maintaining inter-based community programs to help the underprivileged, then you should be caring about these cards. This amendment will generate $100 million, and that's the low bottom figure that I can come up with. If you really care about Louisiana, then you should care about this amendment. We need to stand together. I can't do it by myself, though I'm trying, but I need your help. The $100 million amendment. There's no reason we should not have these cards. On a personal note, I would just like to send my condolences to the officers and their families that were victims of such senseless violence that we see today. Is that the way that we should repay these officers, these men, these women, for the job that they do, for being on the front line for us while we're tucked away in our bed at night, for out there placing themselves in harm's way for strangers, and then being the first to arrive on a scene, a shooting, a stabbing, a car accident, and have to bear witness to such human carnage, but then yet, at the end of this shift, clock out and go home? The same for the EMTs and the fire department personnel. How do we pay these people so little for doing so much? I thank you, and I realize the sacrifice your families make and that you make for the job that you do. And I pray that the violence will end. And once again, I hope that all will stand in support of you as I do. And may God bless. And I thank you.